Oh, what's up, everybody? Table of content, special edition, Saturday edition. We're here. Special guest, MMA fighter, legend in the ring, Zach Makovsky.
That's probably an exaggeration, but thank
No,
you.
no. Those other boys won't be here because they don't know the fight game. And I picked a guest that knows the fight game because we're talking fights. Big night.
Kind of.
Well, yeah, you don't think it is a fight. That's the argument from Zach is that it's like it's an exhibition.
It's a mess. We'll just call it a mess.
All right, let's just talk first off. What this for anyone that doesn't know, Ben Askren, who is a UFC fighter, former UFC fighter, champion, right? And wasn't he a champ at some point?
Not in the UFC. Me and him were both champions at the same time in Bellator. It was like 10 years ago. And then he fought in Asia for a while with one championship. He was a champion there. Then he finally made his way to the UFC and did not have great results there. Officially going 1-2, but really even the win was shouldn't have been.
It was a questionable win. So he's not the greatest representation of mixed martial arts out there.
I mean, he's a specialist. He's an excellent mixed martial artist, but like the area that he's now entering is the opposite of what.
And do you think that you're scared that? So your argument is that you're anti the fight. You don't think it's bad for the sport, or do you think it's dumb? Like, what's your argument against it?
Man, we're just jumping right in.
Yeah, well, just so then I could address because I don't have a dog in the fight. No pun intended. I don't have a dog in the fight. I just think I hate Jake Paul.
Yeah,
I think he's annoying.
The main issue is that we are having celebrities who I don't even know what he's famous for or like what his talent is, but we have celebrities competing in sports at with a high level of publicity, making more money than fighters who have way more skill and ability than have made. Like, I think Ben Askren is making more money for this fight than he has for any fight in his whole career, and I think it's by a lot. So it makes sense why he would do it. I would do it for that money too, but like the fact that people want to see celebrities compete in sports, like my argument is like, why don't we just have celebrities do all our sports for us? Like, professional athletics could be a thing of the past, and we just have celebrities who are famous play sports even though they're not nearly as good. That's interesting.
That's
a dagger in the heart of
for somebody that works their ass off for their whole life to get good, and then
my whole life,
and then it would be like, I was talking to somebody about this because not that your point didn't make sense. It totally makes sense. But then I was thinking about it. Like, imagine if you went, like, the NBA finals were on and they're like, yeah, but we're not going to show LeBron. We're not going to show that. We're going to show there's this like YMCA adult 50 and over league that we're going to show where there's like out of shape, fat mailmen that are going to play basketball. That'll be, and you're going to get to watch that. And then the person I was talking to was like, people would love that. That's the problem. People would love that.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't really blame Jake Paul. Like, if he wants to box professionally, by all means, train and do it. It's the amount of publicity he gets for not his skill level in boxing that he's making more than I probably made my whole career tonight. And that hurts because he's not good. He hasn't put in time to develop skill. People just, and it's not his fault. Like I said, it's the public who want to see this stuff over high level athletics. That's why I was like, if people are into this, and it seems to be right now a fight sports problem. People want to see celebrities fight for some reason. Like, why don't we just have them do all the sports for us? Like,
that's the one thing that
understand the appeal of watching people who are not competent at something do that thing. I don't care how famous they are; they're gonna suck. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like fighting it's a unique that way because it's kind of like car racing in a way that, like, a lot of people aren't into the technical aspects of racing or fighting. They just want to see somebody crash into the wall, and they just want to see people fight. You know, so like you can't be a basketball player. Like watching NBA game and watching.
You can get anyone to crash into a wall. You don't need.
I know, but the thing is, like you can. There's a like. If I play pickup basketball with a couple of my buddies and it's shown on TV, nobody's dunking. There's going to be a lot of bad, like, you know, but in fighting, it's still two dudes beating the shit out of each other. It's still entertaining. Me playing basketball is not entertaining to watch unless you want to see a bunch of fat guys getting out of breath. But fighting, it's like, dude, I'd love to see Jake Paul get his ass kicked. People want to see that shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's understandable.
But I'm more, so that's kind of like, I feel like I'm the demographic because I like UFC. I'll go watch UFC with my friends, but I'm way more jacked up about this fight than any fight since probably McGregor, McGregor boxed Mayweather. I'm fucking, because I want Jake Paul to go down. I want him to get beat up. He's an ass. And so, and then when I talked to you about it, because when I texted you about this fight, I was thinking like, you're going to be like, hell yeah, dude, fucking Ben Askren, you know, that's our guy. And you're predicting Jake Paul is going to take him down.
Yeah.
I'm going to bet
on it right after this.
You're going to bet. You promised me that you're betting on Jake Paul.
Yes.
What? Why? How can this be? How can this possibly be that you are taking, knowing that you know the level that Ben Askren at least competed in? It's pretty high. You're still taking this dickhead Jake Paul.
It's a different sport. It's a totally different.
But it's still kind of close. You know, he at least has been hit.
Who did Jake Paul fight in his last fight? Do you know?
Nate Robinson, a 4'11" basketball player.
4'11"?
He's probably 5'4". You know, it wasn't. It's a different thing.
He was a high-level athlete, right?
Yeah.
He was successful in his sport.
Yeah, but he didn't take punches regularly.
Ben Askren wrestles people. He eats punches. He's not good at getting out of the way. And in this situation, he has no option. He can't wrestle the guy. He has to continue to eat them. Just because you're successful in a sport doesn't mean you're a good athlete.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a lot of athletic qualities. Like he's not fast or explosive or
he is out of shape. He's looking chunky. He looks like me with his shirt off.
I mean, I blame him for taking it. He's making a lot of money for this, and it's so insane to me.
But his big argument, I've listened to a bunch of the interviews. I don't know if you've seen it, because you're anti. You think this is bad for. I want to follow up on that too.
I'm upset that we're even doing this because I want to give this no publicity. I will not watch it. I'm going to bet on it, but I will not watch it.
Okay. But the whole. He's also not fighting somebody with any kind of expertise either. Like Jake Paul was a YouTuber, just a YouTube boy.
Yeah,
and now he's fighting.
Know what he's famous for, but he is 2-0 as a pro boxer, and Ben Askren is 0-0.
Do you think that this is the sport of MMA could look bad?
Oh, it's definitely going to look bad.
Either way.
Yeah, it can't be good. It's not going to be good.
Especially if he gets beat.
Ben Askren is like one of the worst strikers there is in MMA. Like he almost essentially like refused to learn striking because he was a very good wrestler. He was a multiple time NCAA champion and an Olympian. And he relied on his wrestling. He was like a one-dimensional but highly specialized fighter in MMA. In MMA, generally, you have to be good at a broad range of things. You have to be able to strike. You have to be able to wrestle. You have to be able to do jiu-jitsu. You have to have good speed and all this stuff. He basically had nothing, but he was super strong in one area. And boxing is the opposite of that area. And now it's boxing. So that's... God
damn it. Zach, you broke my heart when you predicted this, that it was going to go Jake Paul. I thought this was going to be...
I hope he wins, but I don't think he goes.
And it's the shit talking. The kid, that Jake Paul dude, and I know I'm probably just feeding into the exact demographic that they're trying to reach. You know, this like the heel guy, and I took it like hook, line, and sinker. But damn, I don't think the world can handle that Jake Paul's ego getting any bigger. I think that it's bad for society.
as soon as he boxes a boxer, he'll get murdered.
Yeah, yeah.
But if he keeps
Well, that's the
boxing
only
people who don't know how to box, guess what? He has a
right.
good chance.
I guess the only positive of Jake Paul winning tonight would be it might be more likely that he'll get like a higher level person next time.
No, we want him out. We want him out. I don't want to see celebrities.
He's not going
competing.
away.
I know.
What if he gets in it? What if he does mixed martial arts? What if he wants to do like like some I mean he'll get torn like if it was a UFC fight, Ben Askren would tear him apart, right?
He'd murder him. He'd take him down and do whatever he wanted to him for as long as the fight goes and finish him whenever he wants.
It's just interesting. It's an interesting concept, and I wanted to. I know we don't want to give this a bunch of publicity, and guess what? We're probably not giving them that much publicity. I don't know if a ton of people are watching right now, but million. We got millions. There's a ticker right now. I think one person is currently viewing this live stream, but I wanted to get to what?
Yeah. I'm just telling whoever's watching not to watch the fight.
Don't watch the fight. Oh, I wanted to get the perspective of a professional MMA fighter because it doesn't surprise me that you're like, dude, what the hell are we doing here? Why are we doing this? Like I've trained my whole life to make it in this sport, and now we're just letting these random people just because they have a following. Like, why not just? Oh yeah, why not? Why are we even? It does kind of make the argument for what's the point of professional sports if you're somebody like a fight promoter, this almost guarantees, it takes kind of like the anxiety of a flop out of it because you're going to sell tickets. You're going to sell. It's a slippery slope is what you're saying, right?
I hope. I mean, I hope not, but I think there's like, it is a trend in fight sports right now. Even the Mayweather-McGregor fight was like a weird freak show thing. I mean, at least they were both good athletes and good at the same type of thing, even though one was competing in a sport he had never competed in before.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I didn't even think about it from that perspective where, would you do it if somebody said, hey, like if you got the Jake Paul call, would you do it?
I mean, I'm much smaller, but yes. I'm also a much better striker than Ben Askren, in my opinion.
Would you like to fight Ben Askren? Why don't you start calling out people?
I want it to be about the athletics, not about the fake scripted drama. That's so stupid to me. It's not. I'm not an actor. I don't want to like read a script and play a role. I want to compete in the sport I love. Like, why don't NFL teams have to talk shit to each other every week before they play the game and they still get a lot of views? Like, why?
That's true.
Like, why don't they have to have this like obviously scripted drama? It's all in fight sports. Almost all the drama is scripted or overblown or exaggerated. Almost none of it is like genuine. It's just so ridiculous. It's like I have to be an actor to get attention, so then I can compete in my sport. It's.
Do you feel? Have you felt that pressure in your fight? In some of your fights, have you felt that a little bit of that? Has there been direct pressure to do and say certain things?
I mean, that's what the promoters want. They want you to engage and create drama and attention, but it's like that's not what I'm in it for. I think I should be myself. I want to be myself, and I want if people like me, great. I don't want them to like someone I'm not. That's ridiculous. Or hate someone I'm not. Even if it's all about the money. I mean, it certainly could have potentially helped me get more popular and maybe make more money, but I would hate doing it. I wouldn't want to.
Right.
It's not what this is about for me. So,
what percentage do you think of people fighting and getting paid to fight have your mindset compared to the what how many like are trying to like become celebrity or know that that's part of the game? I mean, playing the game is one thing, but like I feel like your perspective on this is more pure and genuine, and you're in it for like because you love to do it and you want to be good. How many kind of like sway the other way, where their focus is on like the theatrics?
I think there's a good percentage in both camps. It's probably fairly closely split. The thing is, people realize, like all the fighters realize, if they want to garnish more attention and potentially increase their public profile and therefore increase the potential money they can make, that it's good to create drama where
Right.
even when it's unnecessary. But that becomes part of your job. Part of your job is now an actor that like has to create a narrative to bring people in. And I was just, not only was I uninterested, it was like against everything I believe in.
Yeah.
Like I said, like other sports, this doesn't happen with other sports. NFL
Right.
teams don't have to talk shit to each other. Baseball teams, like people tune in because they want to see good athletes play this sport because you're a fan of the sport. I don't understand why fight sports is different. It drives me
Do you have
crazy.
any idea? Have you ever like kind of picked your brain about why that is? Is it because like the barbaric nature of it, where I don't care who it is, as long as there's two people in that ring fighting, clawing at each other, that's all I want to see. I want to see somebody get hurt. I want to see somebody get punched. Or is it do people not, can they not recognize somebody that's very technical and skilled at fighting compared to somebody that's just beating the shit out of somebody?
Yeah, I mean, I think not understanding the nuance of the sport is a big part of it. And I would say along those lines, like a lot of the fans aren't really fans of like good strategy or technique in a fight, which is really all I care about. They're only fans of violence. They tune
Yeah.
in for violence,
Yeah.
which is fine. Like you're not going to make everyone a hardcore fan. Like I like the NFL, but I don't know. I've never played football. I don't know a lot about it. If there is a like a low scoring game, it's like 6-3 or something, I'm probably going to be like, I don't find this that
Yeah.
exciting. But I'm aware of my own ignorance. If I was sitting with someone who played defensive line, they're probably like, you don't know what you're missing. Like you don't see all these. But so I'm aware of it. So it's like, just because I can't understand it doesn't mean I think it's stupid. It's like, oh, I just don't understand it deeply enough to have the appropriate understanding.
And
But
you've been at this for how long?
by the end of this year, I'll be fighting professionally for 15 years.
And where's the trend going? Fighting has it become more popular, or has it become more popular with that group of people that just want, like, that aren't really fans of the sport? They're just trying to see, like, where do you see the trend going in your so far?
It seems to me like the sport is certainly gaining popularity, and it's probably gaining popularity in all the different groups, like the groups that only care about violence, but the groups who want to like study fights and like train and understand more about what exactly is happening and different strategies and all that stuff. So I think it's probably growing across the board, not in any one area, which is good.
Yeah. Do you think part of it has, like, a lot of people, like, I played high school basketball, so I can understand that. Yeah, like the sport. I played, pee wee football. Less people have fought, right? So, like, it's still kind of like a niche sport to like know the nuances and the intricacies of like what would define a technical skilled fighter, aside from somebody that, like, basketball, it's kind of like, oh, you pass it to the open guy, it's just easier. I feel like it's easier to see somebody doing it right. Where fighting, I think you have to do a little bit more research and be a little bit more knowledgeable. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe the commentators don't do a good enough job of explaining things. Maybe it's just a newer sport that people haven't, like you said, experienced as much of.
Like, because I love Tony
like,
Romo. I like Tony Romo in football. I love that because he explains it. He explains things where I wouldn't think, but you don't really get much of that in UFC. Like, I rely on my friends to tell me like what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't know. But the thing is, like, fighting isn't actually hard to understand. You should, like, it's when you watch a fight, it should be fairly obvious who's winning, right?
Yeah. Well, so, that's kind of what I wanted to get into now with you. Now that I got you all riled up, You just came back from a fight where I've talked to a bunch of people that said that watched your last fight and said that watching it, it was very clear who won that fight, and your hand didn't go up at the end of it. So, is it's also a sport where judges kind of pick the winner, right? Like there's no score. Like there's a score, but it's kind of like a what was the word I'm trying to like? It's not objective, right? It's subjective. The scoring.
Yeah, it's much more subjective. I mean, all like refereeing and decision making is somewhat subjective in all the sports.
Right.
But yeah, it's much more subjective in fight sports, and it's essentially the only opinion. Like everyone has an opinion about who won the fight, even if they're scoring it under the same rules. But the only opinions that matter are these three essentially random people who like change out for different fights on that night. It's just like three random people that get assigned, and they have a huge influence over who wins and loses, which has a huge impact on how much you get paid. Like in MMA, the purses are split 50-50. So like you get paid this much to show up, and if you win, it doubles. And if you don't, you stay at that flat rate, that first rate. And
that has nothing to do with fans, right? That has not.
No,
that doesn't have anything to do with ticket sales or anything. Like you're not required to. I guess if you're the headlining act or not act, but you're the event, the big event.
I think there's very few people like I think it's only in the UFC that would like benefit from more people buying the pay-per-view. Like, there are certain people who have pay-per-view points written into their contract where the more it sells, the more they make, and those are like the headliners, but usually the big name headliners. Even some of the regular headliners don't have that in their contract. So
right. But your last fight was it Bahrain?
Yes.
And you don't have to talk shit if you don't want to talk shit. But a lot of people felt you were slighted in that decision. And how do you feel?
Yeah, to be honest, it's weird because I'm like actually really happy with the way I fought. I think it was one of my better performances I've had. I thought I clearly won the first two rounds. Like I find no criteria you could be scoring the fight on to give him either of the first two rounds. And in the second round, I clearly heard him where he had a negative reaction to body shots, and one time dropped him. And then I was very confident I won the first two rounds. So I admittedly played more passive and defensive in the third because I knew he had to essentially submit me or knock me out to win the fight. And he won the third round. It wasn't like he didn't do anything especially effective. I mean, I don't think he did anything really effective in the whole fight. He landed a small number of punches and had one takedown at the end of the fight. And I did much more throughout the fight. Clearly won the first two rounds. I'm happy with my performance. It sucks I only get paid half of what I should have earned, and it sucks I don't get to go to the final. The winner of this was fighting for the title in the finals of a tournament. Yeah. So I certainly got screwed a little bit there. But I mean, like, I'm very disappointed in that. But I also feel like I did my part.
Right.
I feel like I fought well. I fought this guy before, and it was much closer fight, and I got a close decision. This one was not really. I don't understand how anyone.
Did you get the scoring? Did you see the scoring? Like, did they give him the first two rounds?
I didn't see like specifically. I know the scores, but I don't know specifically which rounds, which judges scored for who.
And where's he from?
So he's from Dagestan in Russia, but he's managed by the promotion. So I don't want to accuse anybody of corruption, obvious corruption, but there's certainly at the least an appearance of a conflict of interest. Anytime, like in the United States, in MMA, you can do it. In boxing, the promoter is not allowed to also be the manager of the fighter. And it started with Don King. Don King was promoting Mike Tyson, managing him, and picking opponents, and double dipping as far as what he makes for what. The Muhammad Ali Act, which they're trying to get to expand it to MMA, prevents you from doing that. But it has nothing to do with overseas. Overseas has their own rules. So, but it's certainly.
So yeah, at least the appearances. That was big. And all coming full circle, does he have a, since he is managed by the, the company that promotes the fights, his fan base, he probably gets more promotional dollars backed. Like, is he going to sell more tickets in the finals than you would sell tickets in the finals?
I mean, I think it depends where they held the finals. And the thing is, these fights there's no audience because of COVID, so it's
That's
literally
right.
just
Okay.
it's literally just like, and they had the event was free online to watch. So
Okay.
I think they're still not like out for a huge profit. They're just trying to build the brand of their name and get it recognizable, so then they can start selling events and make a profit eventually.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So you're a little unhappy with what's next? Are you done there? Are you going to try to go back? Are you going to try to do some stuff here?
No, I still have several fights on my contract with them, Brave Combat Federation. So I'm hoping that guy wins the tournament, the guy that I beat, but they advanced. And then, maybe I get one more fight in the meantime, and then be like, yo, I beat you twice. I should be the challenges you first now for the title. But we'll see. He's waiting for the people in the other semifinal to fight, and then he will fight the winner of that, and then we'll see what happens. And then,
what has that been like in COVID times compared to non-COVID times, traveling to, because you've done this non-COVID times, you've traveled to another country to fight people. Was it Russia, or where did you go? Is Uzbekistan? Or has it always been Bahrain?
The last two were in Bahrain, but that was during COVID. Before that, I was in Japan, Slovenia, Vienna, Austria, Poland, Canada.
How do the other countries compare with their love for UFC or mixed martial arts compared to here? Like, is it a different vibe? Like, do people love it more? Is it more passive?
I think I think in Russia, like, they love fighting probably way more than here. I think they treat the fighters like they are the celebrities. They're the royalty kind of. I didn't really get to experience Bahrain much because we're essentially quarantined to the grounds of the hotel for almost the entire week. Only after the event do we leave the hotel, and that's like one day before you fly home. So it's kind of weird. I mean, you don't really get to experience the other country. You fly there, but you're pretty much stuck in the hotel.
Yeah, and then are you, during the Bahrain fights, COVID times, are you getting a test when you arrive, kind of quarantining until the test comes back? It's still not able to go. Like, is it like, what's the like protocol over there compared to what we've kind of been getting accustomed to here?
Yeah, so like I had to have a negative test within 48 hours from when I left the States to fly. Flew there. They tested us in the airport in Bahrain when we landed. And then they took us to the hotel. We're quarantined to our room until we get that result back, which they get pretty quickly. It's probably like 8 to 12 hours. They get the result back. And then we got tested maybe like 4 more times throughout the week. And at the airport, yeah, like at least every other day we got tested. I think one day we got tested twice.
And are you able to train there? Like, who's going over with you? Are you going over by yourself? Do you have like a little team with you?
Me and one coach, yeah. So this time they had, like, usually there's there's blue corner and red corner. They have like a training room set up. They like clear out one of the conference rooms or ballrooms and put down mats, and they're like, all the blue corner fighters can train here, and then they do another one for the red corner, so you can go down and work out whenever you want. This time, I think because they didn't want people mixing together because of potential COVID, they basically like gave us these bigger rooms and cleared out an area and like took out like furniture and stuff in the room and put mats in your room. So everyone had mats in their individual hotel room. So we had like the bed area, a table, and the rest of the room was like a mat area, which was actually super
you and your
convenient.
coach, could like work on some stuff.
Yeah, whenever we wanted to. Yeah.
All right, that's and then you fly home, and I mean, are they like, how are they sending you a check? You have to hide cash in your suitcase? Like how on the up and up is this? I mean, we are on the internet live,
I had
so
to do that for other shows, but no, these guys just wire transfer you
yeah.
your purse
I think you told
within
me
a
a
week
story
or
one
two.
time. Didn't you have to like spread cash around some friends and family?
But yes, one time I did get paid in cash when I fought. That was when I fought overseas for a Russian show, and they paid even you in cash. Yeah, we're not
That's
going to get
wild.
into the story.
No, that's as far as we'll go. We'll go with that. But yeah. So in the meantime, you're kind of over there at 10th Planet in Bethlehem, right? Just training, just staying ready.
Yeah, so I mean, like this whole situation started because I do most of my training in Montreal, and I was there the whole pandemic. I was there from March till September. I flew to the Middle East to fight in September. My opponent got sick, so I didn't end up fighting when I got paid. And then they wouldn't even let
Sick
me
with
fly back
COVID?
into
They
Canada.
got was it
No, he did. It wasn't COVID, but he got sick and then couldn't make weight, so
okay.
they canceled it. So they wouldn't even let me fly back into Canada. I couldn't board the plane in London, and because I'm not a citizen or a resident or anything, I don't have like a work visa because I don't work there. I just train there, and then I fight
Mm-hmm.
overseas. So they flew me back to New York. I was crashing with my parents, but they were older and they have some health issues and stuff. So I wasn't training, and once I realized I was going to be stuck here for a long time, I was like, man, I got to train. So I moved into like a totally empty house that some of my relatives had, no Wi-Fi, and but then I could train. So I was like, I wasn't even if I because I'm like wrestling with 10 people who are wrestling with 20 other people. So
Right.
direct contact you have with people is very high. So I didn't want. So I trained. I went to Maryland to do my training camp. Flew back. I still can't get into Canada. My car's in Canada. All my stuff's in Canada. The place I rent is in Canada.
You
And the
can't
border's
even go back to get it.
no, they won't let me cross. I tried to look into some like exemptions and stuff. They're like Montreal especially is super strict right now. So it's not even a good time to be there. So I don't know. So yeah, so now
Why?
I'm here.
Because there's a lot of cases, a lot of COVID there.
Not relative to here, but like as soon as their cases start jumping up, they shut everything
They
down.
just
There's a
shut it
curfew.
down.
You're not allowed out of your house after 8 p.m.
Yeah, I mean that's what you hear. You hear like some of the other countries where we're like, man, all our restrictions are crazy, but then you like hear these other stories. You're like, damn, that's actually crazy.
Yeah, that is like I don't even see a purpose for the curfew. It doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, but yeah, so you're not gonna, you're not gonna watch this fight. That's kind of what the.
Absolutely not.
I think. I mean, I'm kind of on the fence now. Like, do you think it's gonna be a quick thing?
I mean, like my specific prediction is that Askren will get stopped in the first half of the fight. I think the fight's scheduled for 8 rounds. I think within 4 he gets stopped.
Do you
I don't
think
think he's gonna
Askren
get.
tries to do something crazy?
No, he's apparently it's in the contract where if he like slams him or takes him down or something, he loses his entire purse. So he'd rather get knocked out cold than do
Yeah.
that. I think
Yeah.
you're gonna see him just eating a lot of punches and like kind of shelling, like covering up, and just can't deal with it, and then the referee will step in and say, "You've had enough."
So he's going to have a hard time punching, is what you're saying. As a novice fight fan, what the thing is, he's not a good striker. He's going to have a hard time hitting Jake Paul.
Yeah, because he doesn't possess any of the athletic qualities that are generally good in boxing. Like,
I mean, you hate to hear this about yourself if you're going into a boxing match right now.
he knows this. I'm sure Ben Askren's a smart guy. I know him. He's very self-aware. He's making $500,000 to do this. I would do it too, even if I knew I was
Yeah.
going to get crushed.
Do you know you've had some experiences and personal experiences with him?
Yeah, we were champions in Bellator at the same time, so we would hang out we'd be on cards together or hang out at like promotional photo and video shoots and stuff. And I spoke to him many times, hung out with him and his wife. I mean, this is like 10 years ago, but
Yeah, and he's a pretty smart guy. Not really. He doesn't seem too full of himself. He doesn't seem like ego
No,
is a huge thing.
He's very self-aware. He's very self-aware. He's no idiot.
Yeah.
That's what. But that's what I said. I would do it for the money too, even if I knew.
Yeah.
Even if I had like Floyd Mayweather, I'll do it for $500,000. I don't care how bad he beats me up.
Yeah, that's true. All it takes, like, I mean,
I'm fighting for so much less right now.
Yeah. Well, that's a big debate that my friend group has. The big debate has been, after a couple of drinks, who would you rather fight, Mike Tyson or a grizzly bear? Or what would you rather do for $1 million? Would you try to fight Mike Tyson, or would you try to fight, like, I don't know, like Jake Paul? I'd rather fight. Well, I mean, Jake Paul is probably better at fighting than me. He's been training. I just can't let myself admit that he would beat me up.
Both those questions have the easiest answers ever.
Well, I would rather fight Mike Tyson than a lesser fighter. I would rather fight Mike Tyson than, like, my buddy who's a real good fighter, because he's gonna beat me up, and he's gonna beat me up bad. Tyson's gonna hit me once. That's it. Night. It's over.
Yeah. Plus, it's more respectable. You're like, yeah, what are you gonna do? It's Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I'm getting beat up by most people. It's like, if it's gonna be anybody, it might as well be Tyson. What are you taking, grizzly bear or Tyson?
See, I still Tyson over a grizzly bear. Grizzly bear will kill him.
You can just play dead though. Tyson knows. He's aware. The grizzly bear you could play dead. Tyson you cannot play dead with.
Play dead with the grizzly bear,
or make yourself big.
Who came up with that idea? The Bears?
Yeah. I don't know.
Lie down and don't struggle for me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. Mike Tyson, who would you rather fight, Tyson or McGregor? UFC style.
Tyson.
Yeah.
I think I actually have a chance to beat some of these guys. I haven't just accepted defeat under all circumstances. So I understand. See, you're like, I'm gonna lose to everyone. So
right.
I'll pick the more respectable.
Yeah, the quicker path.
I think I beat one of these guys. I'm gonna go for the guy I think I could beat.
What top headliner guy in the UFC do you think that you would love a crack at, if you could get a crack at one of them? Your best crack.
I mean, I'm so small.
I don't care. Who do you want? Call them out. They're listening.
It would have to be a heavyweight, because I have such little respect for heavyweights.
Like a Diaz guy? Like a Diaz? Are they heavyweights? Diaz brothers?
One's a lightweight, one's a welterweight.
Okay. Those would be my least favorite people to fight. The Diaz brothers. I feel like you couldn't play dead against them. They would just keep going. Like,
yeah, that's the thing. Heavyweights, I could maybe get them tired enough where they can't do anything. And I don't think they could catch me. They could, like, squash me if they catch me, but
yeah,
it'd be more interesting. I have some advantages against heavyweights, whereas against like a lightweight or a welterweight, those advantages are not going to really help me out much, I don't think.
So
I would go for a heavyweight of some kind.
You're not going to name names?
Like that. Derek Lewis. Give me Derek Lewis.
Derek Lewis, if you're listening, Zach wants you. He wants it. All right, man. Well, I mean, I guess
he'd probably kill me once he squashed me. Once he called me.
Oh, dude, that's how my fight game is so embarrassing. Like, I hate pain so much. Like, I don't know how you do it. I know we've talked about this, but, like, knowing you're about to get punched in the face at least one time, and you're going to work, you're clocking in. No, like, if I would ever do stand up if there was a chance. I guess there's always a chance that somebody could punch me in the face, especially with some of the things I say. But that's definitely going to happen. Like, I would never do stand up ever again if I knew at least one time during this 15-minute set somebody was going to punch me in the face, or at least try to. But you guys go in there.
What's your giant fear of getting punched in the face? You
It
probably only have a
hurts.
fear because does it? I don't think it does hurt.
Really?
Not like the way traditional pain goes.
Wait,
It's
wait.
like
What do you mean?
it's not like you get hit. It's like a shock of a bit, but it's not like you're not suffering for an extended period of time. It's like 1 millisecond of like, and it's not even like pain. It's like your head got shook around. What is
Yeah.
that? It's like an impact, not like maybe if you like crack your orbital bone or break your nose or something.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe I just haven't. But I've been punched in the face enough times where I hate it. I know I hate it, and I don't want it to happen again. That's a very valuable life lesson as a growing up as a turning into adulthood. That you say things, you do things, and if it angers somebody enough, they will punch you in the face, and then you learn to not say or do those things ever again. And some people never learn that lesson. And they walk around never having been punched in the face. And I think there should be an app that finds these people and punches them in the face to make the world a better place. But that's neither here nor there. But I am terrified of getting punched in the face. I am terrified of getting choked out. Because we did a couple years ago for that Jokes and Choke show with Zach and JM and Fauerbach. They kind of did teach us some moves, and I did get choked out for a second by a young man, and I hated it. I hated it a lot.
You just got choked until you tapped, or what?
Yeah, but it was a very quick tap.
Yeah. So
I mean, you probably go into a situation.
Choked unconscious.
No, I didn't go down. I was tapping right away. He's like, when you want to tap. I'm like, he basically touched my neck, and I started tapping. And what about you? Do you how long can you hold off? Is that like if you start to get like or like submitted, if you're holding off as long as you can?
I'm very hard to choke. Yeah. Like because I've been in them so long, like you develop a tolerance and you find like a little room to get a little air, or it's not even when the air, you pass out because they cut off blood and the blood pressure drops and you pass out. So like you can't let them cut off both sides of your neck, both carotid arteries. So you have to find like room and like there's a bunch of little tricks, but it's basically a tolerance like anything. Like you can if you tap immediately as soon as someone grabs your neck over and over, you'll never develop that tolerance. You have to be put in and tough it out a little bit and get used to it.
That's wild.
And I think it's the same with getting punched in the face. I know a lot of people now, world champion fighters, who first time they got hit in the face, they flinch and scream and turn away. It's a natural thing that you just have to break. You get used to it and conditioned. And
do you, if you're in a choke situation, like this is probably not a comparison, but like if I'm underwater for too long, I start to get panicky when I can't breathe. Do you have that situation? Or like
you can
you have to try to not panic, right?
Yeah. So like there's different kinds of chokes. What you're describing is like I can't breathe. How long can I? The thing is, someone can only squeeze hard for a limited amount of time. You can probably hold your breath longer than they can maintain tight enough pressure with their arm to squeeze your neck. Now it is uncomfortable, and when your heart rate's high, and when you're exerting yourself, you can hold out not as long. But if you relax and try to just stay calm in there, you can last probably longer than they can squeeze. But most of the techniques are not designed to like restrict your airflow. They're designed to stop the blood flowing to your head. And when the blood pressure drops, you pass out. You don't pass out from the like lack of oxygen. You pass out because the blood drops to your head. So I have to cut off the blood, not the air, really. So those are different. There's blood chokes and air chokes. And people do panic when they can't breathe and tap because it feels like they're underwater. That's exactly the feeling. I do breath holds to train to get myself more comfortable holding my breath for long periods of time and trying not to panic when I really want to take a breath. I try to relax and keep going.
And something that you can train for. Can you train for a blood choke where you don't need if less blood goes to your head, you can stay alert longer than I can. Like I need more blood than your head does. Is that something? Or is it kind of like, that's one thing. If you get those two things, you're going down. It doesn't matter how tough or how, trained you are. There's an amount of blood pressure that if it gets here, you're going down.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that. I'm not aware of any like physiological adaptations you would get by getting choked more and more.
Yeah.
I think like when the blood pressure drops to a certain level, you pass out. That's how it goes. The trick is to not let them get that kind of grip around your neck. If they do, you're in huge trouble.
Yeah. Do you? You don't have to give out your secrets in case any of your opponents are watching. We have one viewer right now.
All of them are.
Yeah. Would you rather submit somebody through submission or knockout?
Would I rather submit someone through submission or knockout?
Or no, would you rather win through submission or knockout?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I have more submissions than I don't have any like clean knockouts where I've put some to sleep. I've hurt people, I've dropped people, I've TKO'd people, but I've submitted more people. I think it would be nice to put someone out with a punch. I think
and you could yell night at him.
Like physiologically, I think people don't know why that happens. Why you like shut off from an impact.
Really?
Yeah. As far as I know, they don't know why.
Is it something about because it's the jaw, right? The jaw has like
I mean that's certainly like I think there's theories. Like that's certainly a point that people tell you to aim for. But I've seen people get knocked out from shots like behind the ear, top of the head, temple, anywhere really. People go to sleep. But the chin is generally like, I think because the chin, it can like shake your head and your brain can, I don't know.
Yeah.
They don't actually know why, as far as I know.
Here's a comment from somebody. Do you know? I'll never forget that shit they used to put on Prism in the early 90s. Dan the Beast knocked a dude's eyeball out of socket. Do you know anything about that? Aiden,
I don't know. I think I know who Dan the Beast Severn, but I don't remember him causing someone's eye fall out. That would be nuts. But he ruined like 150 fights, so there's plenty that I'm not aware of.
Is there? Yeah. Speaking of like getting hit, like 150 fights, and you, how many fights are you at?
31 professional fights.
Do you worry about like impacts on the head over a period of time?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's one of the reasons I fight the way I do. Is because I'm pretty defensively responsible. I don't get hit clean to the head a lot. I have a style that probably a lot of fans who aren't good at seeing the nuance in tactics and strategy would think isn't the most exciting. So, but yeah, I mean, like I'm not trying to like just get into brawls to make money. I'm trying to be the best at my craft. I think there are a few fighters who go in there to entertain the crowd, but most fighters are trying to be the best they can, and that means beating them without taking damage in return.
Yeah, well, it's kind of out of protecting yourself, right? It's self-preservation. If you go into entertain, that's probably the quickest way to get beat up and like get hurt.
Yeah, it's also a good way to make money because that's what people generally like to see.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, we've hung out, and I'm just very interested in like your life and how, because in your demeanor right now, we've had like philosophical conversations about like free will. I don't know how many like. And then but then you're like a fighter and like you go in and you just try to beat people up. But then you're like come to like a show and you're like quiet and like reserved. We'll talk about like, fucking deep issues. It's like a interesting. That's why you got to do a podcast, man. I've been telling you. The people want it.
Most of the fighters I know are much more like that than like the like typical perspective of like this angry like obnoxious kind of
I guess that makes
alpha
sense too,
kind
because you live in this like pretty high energy, high, like that environment. When you're out of it, real life probably doesn't compete. You fight regularly. Like I haven't been in a fight in 10, 15 years. Hopefully I'll never be in a fight again. I would love it if I died without fighting ever again. That would be ideal for me. You, on the other hand, you want to get a lot more fights in because that's your profession. So
yeah, I mean,
when you're,
I fight every day in training.
yeah, that's so. And that was the one thing I never like wrestling, and like I would watch wrestlers at wrestling like at my high school, and even like go over to the gym. Like I remember like scrimmaging basketball with people, and like I would still get angry at my friends, and we would like I could never in a million years wrestle and see the type of beating you guys put on each other, and then right after it like shake hands and like not hold a grudge for the rest of the night. Like, dude, you just dropped me on my head. You were squeezing on me, making my arm hurt real bad. I wanted you to stop. Like I just couldn't be able to not resent my friend, like if they were doing that to me.
But you're doing it to them too. It's not like you understand. It's not a personal attack. It's
I don't. That's why I
support.
can't do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, we should do this again. We should do these more. We don't have to promote shitty fights for the next one.
One thing about the perception of fighters, like it's hard to be like super egotistical and arrogant as a fighter, because when you train, you're training with a lot of people who are good at a lot of things, and you lose every day. I get beat up every day at something. So like you're humbled every day. If you're training with other good people, you're humbled every day in some form or another. So like it's hard to like maintain that like ego or arrogance when you're losing constantly. You lose at because like especially as mixed martial artists, we like I'm here rolling with guys who just compete in jiu-jitsu. So like I'm like a decathlete, but I'm training with guys who just do the high jump. They're better high jumpers than me. I can high jump, but they can high jump much better. I'm also running with the sprinters. I'm running with the distance runners. I can do a little bit of it all, but I'm not specialized as much as they are in any of these areas. So like
I guess
you're constantly getting humbled.
I guess bringing it back to the fight tonight, that's kind of why I assume that Askren would have the advantage, because sure, he's not like known for boxing, but he's at least had to train for many years, at least dabble in that field. Whereas like Jake Paul's newer, even if he's like been training more, like it just, to me, and I understand your point where like he just isn't very good at it, but to me it's like, and I relate everything to basketball. Like even if somebody just dribbled for the last 2 years, they're still not going to be better than like the 10th man on an NBA team at dribbling. Probably, I don't know. Or shooting three pointers.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think your general perception of that is right. If you took an average MMA fighter at the same average professional MMA fighter at the same weight as Jake Paul and put them in a boxing match with him, they would have a much better shot than Askren. Askren is a unique type of MMA fighter who has like heavily specialized in only one of those areas. Because he was so good at one area, he basically didn't develop the other areas.
Okay.
It's not very common in MMA, but it does happen when people are really, really strong in one area. They basically like neglect the rest of their game. And he is one of those guys. And boxing is the opposite. So he isn't a guy who has put in a lot of effort to boxing and kickboxing.
I got you.
The other things. He is like, his whole game was, no matter who he was fighting, no matter what their skills, he had to have the same game plan because he can only do one thing. So generally, I think your perception was right. You just don't know Askren that well. He is not like the average guy.
I guess it's hard to wrap my head around it because of his accolades and like the Olympic stuff. And it makes a ton of sense to me to hearing you say it, but my brain is having a hard time wrapping around that he might get beat up by this YouTube guy. despite being an Olympian.
I think it's gonna be bad.
I was just talking to Joe Ferraro, another comedian friend, and he said the same thing. He was like, he's worried about it because of what it's going to make MMA look like, and he's like, of all people, why did Ben Askren take this fight? He's the of all the people, that's what he kept saying, of all the people. And I guess
it makes total sense. Jake Paul took it because it was probably the best bigger name guy that he could beat up, and Askren took it because it's the most money he's ever going to make for any fight.
Yeah. Do you think he knows? Do you think if you're Ben Askren and do you think he thinks he's going to get beat up tonight, or do you think he thinks he's going to win? Do you think he's cashing in?
He's a self-aware guy. I think he knows he has a good chance to lose. I'm certain he thinks he could probably pull it off. But I think he knows he's not going to go dominate the fight tonight.
Yeah.
So
I'm
not saying he doesn't think he has a chance to win. He probably does think he has a chance to win. He has a semi-realistic perspective, from my opinion, whereas I don't know. Unless he shows something I've never seen from him before, he's gonna get beat.
Okay. All things considered, you've made your point about this type of celebrity stuff and what your stance is on it. How does it swing back to what would you like to see happen in order to kind of persuade people to watch real fighting and lose interest in this kind of circus act shit? Like, what do you think needs to happen?
I don't know. It's hard for me to say because I really don't even understand the appeal of watching someone just because they're famous do something they're not good at. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't care how famous you are. If you were gonna do something you're no good at, why would you have interest? It doesn't make sense to me. I can't wrap my head around it. So I really don't know how to answer that. I wish I had the answer. I have no idea.
Yeah, I just think that the element of
some weird celebrity thing. I don't know why people care about celebrities.
I mean, we live in a cult. We watch The Bachelor, man. Like, we watch the Kardashians. So it's like, this is kind of not so far removed from that. No, not me. Not me. I hate that shit. The Bachelor needs to stop. That would be a celebrity fight. If they would just open the ring up and throw all the contestants of The Bachelor in there, and the last man standing is like, gets the date. Now we're talking. But yeah, I'm with you, man.
It's like watching, like, you could pick any two random people and throw them into a boxing ring. And these guys have only trained a little bit more than that at boxing. It's like, why would you want to, you could pick any two people to do this.
Let me ask you,
people to watch, do this. They've done it their whole life. They're amazing at it.
Right.
People don't care. They want to see that. They want to see some guy, because like I said, I don't even know why he's popular. Something with YouTube. I really don't know.
YouTube. But what about Barstool Sports? One of their most popular events is the Rough and Rowdy thing, and that's just random ass people that they just get together and sign up and they broadcast it, and it's just regular Joe Schmoes from West Virginia that'll fight. Is that kind of in the same vein? Like, what are we doing here?
I've never even heard of that, but yes, that's pretty much
Rough and Rowdy is like one of their most popular things, and they just get like a firefighter and a cop from some town, and they throw gloves on these dudes and have them duke it out, and it's like wildly successful.
Here's a question: if those two random guys got together and played one-on-one basketball, would as many people tune in?
No, but they want to see somebody get hurt.
What is it about fighting?
I think they want to see somebody get hurt. They want to see a victor, and the shit talking. And there's like a machismo, right? Like, I'm the better man. But they also lead up the fights with a bunch of like pressers where they're like talking shit and like giving them names, and it's like kind of like WWE, like pro wrestling kind of shit.
I was just gonna say, all these people who like this should go watch pro wrestling, because that's what. Except the pro wrestlers are much better at what they do than these.
Yeah, they're athletes. They're true athletes. It's gonna come back around, Zach. It's gonna come back around. We're gonna get Zach fighting the heavyweight champion of UFC, Dana White. You're listening. I see you watching. He wants it. Give him the fight.
Not the guy I picked. He's not the guy I picked.
All right, man. Well, let's do this again. Thanks for shout out to 10th Planet for all the shit that they're doing over there. Check them out. I'm sure they got some classes too, and you're teaching some classes, right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna be spending more time in this area and less time in Canada. I'm gonna start running the MMA program.
Well, Zach, you can't get into Canada. We've established this. They don't let you back in.
Yeah, that's part of what happened. But even when
you're
allowed back, I'm gonna spend more time in the Lehigh Valley and in Pennsylvania, and I'm gonna start running the MMA program here. I still will travel to like train and fight for when I'm gonna compete, but that's winding down. I'm gonna slowly transition to more coaching and less competing myself. And try to build up these areas.
Can you? So the 10th Planet guys, they just got a brand new gym, pretty state of the art. I've seen the tour, like the virtual tour. Looks pretty awesome. Yeah. And as kind of like we were talking about growing the sport or whatever, and getting people more knowledgeable about a skilled fighter. What about if you're talking right now to a parent of a kid who maybe has some aspirations or wants to get into mixed martial arts or whatever, but the parent's a little hesitant, would rather have them play football or a more traditional sport. What would be something you would tell that parent in order to comfort them to let their child get into, some mixed martial arts or some combat sports?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think sports in general across the board are very good for development of young people, as far as like just learning how to work hard, what it takes to be successful at something, discipline, all that stuff. Martial arts is no different. And just because you come train, you're developing athleticism, strength, all the physical qualities. You're learning technique and discipline. You're learning things that can help you in self-defense situations. Jiu-jitsu is probably the best if you're only going to learn one martial art, jiu-jitsu is probably the best for self-defense. And these guys here have done an amazing job. They have 2 legitimate world-class students that they've brought up from scratch. But even so not everyone has to compete. Just because you come train at a martial arts gym doesn't mean you have to become a fighter. Most of the people never compete. If you develop a love for the art and training, and you want to like test yourself, then you compete. And if you're successful, you slowly graduate up the levels. But I mean, like, I think anyone who comes in with no training background and says, I want to be a fighter, they have no idea. Maybe they think that, but they have no idea if they want to be a fighter. They have no experience with what it takes, what the training is like, what fighting actually is. So I kind of would brush that off, but I think martial arts in general is a great way to learn a lot about yourself, develop a bunch of healthy physical habits, healthy mental habits, learn self-defense, and then if you want to compete, it's also a great way to test yourself in some uncomfortable situations and see what you're made of. And learning about yourself is always a good thing. So
yeah, for sure. And there's a team aspect too.
Competing in MMA, I think, is much safer than football. Football is way collision sport.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, that's. I mean, in probably maybe 20 or 30 years, there'll be studies for like real data on that. But I'm going to agree with you. Like the study, it's not looking good for football. Like, you know what I mean? It's not the results aren't looking great for 10 or 15 years of just hitting people with your head. So
what are you talking about? The CTE stuff?
Yeah. It's not good. It's not good. It doesn't look good.
Get CTE. I feel like it's going to be in like a huge percentage of the population.
Soccer too. Yeah. I mean, it's just everybody's like getting it. Hockey has their share, but I mean, football definitely has more. I mean, it's just like you put that helmet on and you're like, now this, yeah, this is like your head's a weapon now.
Yeah, mini car crashes over and over and over. And
Yeah, it's crazy. It's barbaric. So yeah, I mean, if your kid wants to get into MMA, but you're worried that you're going to drop them off in a gym and a couple, dudes are going to beat up your son or daughter, not going to happen. They're going to learn some valuable life lessons that they can keep forever. Zach, this has been awesome. We're going to do this again. I'm going to force you to do these podcasts with me, and
you don't have to.
we're going to.
Happy to do it. I always love talking to you.
I love it. Well, we'll be texting tonight about the fight for sure, and I'll keep you updated.
You can tell me what happens.
I will. I'll tell you. Maybe we'll bet on some ping pong.
Yes, I'm in for that.
Yeah, man. All right, buddy. Thank you guys for listening. Check out Zach. What's hold on, let me throw up some of your what is your Instagram or your handle?
It's at Zach _Makovsky. I'm not gonna spell it. Okay, you need me to spell it?
No, I got it. Hold on. Shit. This is riveting content here, folks.
Indeed.
Let me know if this is right.
Twitter, I'm at Zach Fun Size. I pretty much don't go on Facebook, so it's pretty much Instagram.
Is that right?
Yep.
Look at that.
That's right.
All right. Zach Fun Size. There it is, yes, folks. Sir. Both handles. Check them out. Check out 10th Planet. If you watch the fight tonight, send us both a tweet. Talk some shit. Tell us who's going to win. And we'll see you next time.
Don't say I didn't tell you.